Good morning and welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. We are here today for an allowable ex parte communication briefing under ND 2025-45-G. It is a request of allowable ex parte communication briefing filed by Walmart Incorporated regarding Walmart's DSM/EE measures. It is Monday, November 24th, 2025 at 10 a.m. All commissioners are present in the hearing room except for Commissioner Britt, who is joining us virtually this morning. Ms. Westinger-Hill, if you would, please outline the procedures for an ex parte communication briefing.
Yes, sir, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the Chairman just mentioned, today is Monday, November the 24th, 2025, and the Commission, we are here in the hearing room pursuant to the Notice of Request for Allowable Ex Parte briefing from Walmart Incorporated. The subject matter of this allowable ex parte briefing is the Walmart's Demand Side Management and Energy Efficiency, also referred to as DSM-EE, measures and reliability issues. This is the same subject to be discussed in this briefing as was timely noticed by the Clerk's Office of the Commission and also then revised on November 17th, 2025. As I mentioned previously, this is a briefing and not a hearing. The briefing must be conducted in compliance with the provisions of South Carolina Code Section 58-3-260 subsection C. The requirements of the statute are in part that the allowable ex parte be confined to the subject matter, which is notice. I therefore ask that the presenters, commissioners, and staff all please refrain from discussing any matters not related to this specific topic. Secondly, the statute prohibits any presenter, commissioner, or commission staff from requesting or giving any commitment, predetermination, or prediction regarding any action by any commissioner as to any ultimate or penultimate issue which either is or is likely to come before the Commission. Third, I would ask the presenters, commissioners, and staff to refrain from referencing any report, article, statute, or documents of any kind that are not included in today's presentation. A copy of any document which is represented during the presentation must be provided for inclusion in the record, and it is the same record that will be certified by the Chief Clerk of the Commission, Ms. Jocelyn Boyd. Fourth, if anyone during the course of this briefing exceeds the scope of this briefing or does not comply or fails to conduct themselves within the provisions of South Carolina Code Section 58-3-260, it is expected that a contemporaneous objection must be made. And finally, everyone in attendance in the hearing room must sign and register when you entered. If you did not, please do so before exiting. In addition to signing in, everyone in the room and those who are three that are present virtually will be given a form that you must read and sign before you exit today or before the day is over. The form is provided to each person in attendance to certify that the requirements contained in subsection C of South Carolina Code Section 58-3-260 have been complied with during this presentation. This means that you are stating that no person, commissioner, or staff deviated from the topic notice for this allowable ex parte briefing or violated state law for such briefing with regard to what was appearing here before the Commission. I thank you all for your time and attention. Mr. Chairman, the request and notice for this allowable ex parte communication briefing are in order.
Thank you very much, Ms. Westinger-Hill. And just to make sure the record is replete, I am going to do a roll call of commissioners, beginning with Commissioner Belcher.
Present.
All right. Commissioner Caston.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Present.
Vice Chair Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Britt.
Here.
Thank you. And I am here, Delton Powers, the chairman. As to parties, who is here on behalf of Office of Regulatory Staff?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Ben Muschin on behalf of ORS.
All right. And as far as Walmart, Ms. Eaton, I'm going to turn it over to you. We because of the special things, the two witnesses that we're allowing to be virtual, they must be in a room alone, and I will ask them that for the record just to make sure. But proceed with however you want to do it.
Certainly, and we have informed the witnesses about that and that you will be asking them. So
Well, good morning, Chair Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and Commissioners, as well as Mr. Mushton. On behalf of Walmart Inc., we are pleased to be here today to share some educational information regarding Walmart's self-funded demand-side management energy efficiency measures, as well as to discuss the importance of reliable electricity to Walmart's facilities located throughout South Carolina. I have 4 members of Walmart's Energy Services team available today for our discussion, which is being conducted pursuant to South Carolina Code Annotated Section 58-3-260C. We welcome your questions throughout the presentations, hard copies of which should have already been distributed to you. I will now turn the presentation over to Ms. Lisa Perry, Director of Utility Partnerships Regulatory, to introduce the team and lead our presentation. Thank you.
Ms. Perry, if you like, you can pull that microphone closer so you don't have to bend over.
Okay. You let me know how the volume is. I'm always afraid I'm going to be too loud.
No,
Is that good? All right. Thank
You
you.
got to remember, some of us are elderly. You can't be too loud.
Gotcha. So good morning. Good morning, Chair Powers and Vice Chair Williams and Commissioners. We really appreciate you taking the time and giving us this opportunity to speak with you this morning about our energy goals, resiliency, and our energy efficiency process, and also allowing for 2 of our panelists to appear remotely. I would like to start first with introducing our panel. Let's see if I can do this. So I'm Lisa Perry. I am the Director of Regulatory. Me and my team appear in different state regulatory utility commission dockets throughout the United States. To my right is my boss, Steve Chris. He's the Senior Director of Utility Partnerships, and he helps lead strategy and collaboration with utility providers to advance our energy initiatives. And from our home office in Arkansas, we have Claire Riscavage. There she is. So she is an energy manager with utility operations. She supports our strategic partnerships and managing utilities for Walmart sites. I think of her as a liaison between Walmart and our different investments that we're making, whether it's building new stores or upgrading existing stores, and sort of that relationship between Walmart and the utilities. And then also with us from Arkansas is Ryan Parrish. He is the Director of Energy Efficiency, and he leads initiatives to optimize energy performance and sustainability across the organization, which is really across all of our facilities. I will kick us off by giving an overview of Walmart's footprint, our sustainability goals, and framework that we use to meet these goals. I will then turn it over to Claire, who will talk about our resiliency, and then we will end with Ryan, who's going to talk about our energy efficiency. Instead of phoning a friend, I brought a friend, Steve Chris. He's also available to answer any questions that you may have, and please feel free to ask questions, as we go along or at the end. All right, so Walmart across the U.S. has about 5,200 U.S. retail stores. That includes our super centers, what I call the old school Walmarts that we knew from like the 80s and 90s, plus also our neighborhood markets, which is a smaller grocery store type store, and our Sam's Clubs, plus 210 distribution centers. 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart, and we employ 2.1 million people worldwide across 19 countries. Everyone thinks of our facilities, but also we have one of the largest privately owned trucking fleets in the world. And the 5,000 number may be a little bit low, but we have over 5,000 electric delivery vans. So in South Carolina, we have 122 stores, 5 supply chain facilities, which can include distribution centers and then also fulfillment centers, which support our online business. 26 different utility partners across the IOUs, the munis, and the co-ops. We spend $2.9 billion this year with South Carolina-based suppliers, and we employ over 37,000 associates in the state. Like a lot of companies, Walmart has established sustainability goals. I'm not going to go through all these. I'm just going to highlight the 2 that our team works most diligently towards supporting, and that is to be 100% renewable energy powered by 2035, and then 0 emissions by 2040. And that includes not only our facilities, but our large trucking fleet as well. So to meet these goals, a couple years ago, the energy department in Walmart, which is where we all work, decided to kind of define a framework within which we approach these goals, and we call it ACRE. So I'm going to go through the one in the center here. So access to power. I mean, that's both ensuring that there's sufficient generation to meet increasing load, but also access to the distribution center or distribution system to ensure that there is equipment and infrastructure available for us to, whether it's to power a new store or to power renovations to existing stores or distribution centers. Cost, of course, everything is getting more expensive in life, and cost is very important to Walmart. There's a saying that everyday low prices start with everyday low costs, and the cost of electricity is one of our largest expenses. Resiliency. Claire is going to talk more about this, but really it's just the importance of being able to have resilient and reliable power, but also power quality, and how even minor interruptions in power can sometimes have pretty long-lasting effects on our equipment. And then emissions, where I talked about our 2040 goal. And so really, how can we reduce emissions? And Ryan is going to touch a lot on this through our energy efficiency investments that we're making. So just real quick, as far as part of this, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back and go through a couple more things. So in the last column there, how we're looking at this, even I think in a more, that was the 10,000, this is like the 30,000 view, is using less power. And Ryan's going to touch on that a lot. Building on-site generation, whether that's carport, canopy, solar on our rooftops, ground-mounted. Also, enabling off-site capacity, whether that's through smaller community solar type projects, and then advocacy and engagement, and we are a very active intervener in a lot of dockets across the United States. And that's where I go into the next slide, which is our regulatory advocacy. I mean, I think a lot of you are aware of this, but, we engage in rate cases. We also engage in cases around renewable energy programs, customer-sided solutions, talking about some of the stuff that customers can cite on their premises, as well as demand-side management, helping customers become part of the solution, not just bringing lots of load. And then also EV charging advocacy. We do currently have public EV chargers in our parking lot in several hundred locations, but up to this, till recently, those have been third-party owned. A few years ago, Walmart decided to take over and start to own and operate our own public EV chargers in our facilities. We currently have, how many? 12 up and running. So that's also another area that we're starting to advocate in. And our advocacy will continue to grow as our business continues to evolve.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
the 12, it's good to see you in person.
Yes, it is. I know. I was just thinking it has been a while.
It has been. The 12 EV stations that Walmart owns or has their own, is that in South Carolina or is that across the nation?
That's across the nation,
Okay.
and they are located in Texas and Arizona.
So that's really a new thing that
Yes.
y'all are pursuing. Okay.
Yes, our first site went live in March, in just outside Dallas, Texas. So the Dallas market, Phoenix markets are coming up first, but 2026 we anticipate a broader rollout across the United States.
Just
And
curious.
I can check to see what we have planned for South
That's all
Carolina.
right. No, I just was curious. We're talking state level there or national level. That's all it was. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, I appreciate the clarification. And so with that, I will turn it over to Claire, who will talk about resiliency.
Good morning, everybody.
Let me first, before you begin, I hate to interrupt you, but
You're good.
could you verify for the record that you are the only person in your room and the only person listening in?
I am not the only person in my room. I'm sitting in a room with Ryan Parrish, actually. We're on different sides of the desk. But
Well,
other
that's
than that,
okay if
we're
it's
the only
Mr.
people in the
Parrish.
room.
All right.
Yes.
But no one else besides the two of you.
No, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Alrighty. So I'm going to go over today kind of what an outage looks like in a store, in a supply chain site, and then also what we're doing to future-proof these sites and how we actively work on these. So regarding a store, the majority of Walmart stores have generators, specifically when they are located along the coastline. As you get towards the center of the U.S., this story changes a little bit, whereas we have to be more proactive when it comes to outages or planning outages. We actually have an entire resiliency team that rolls out generators depending on if storms are coming into the area. For planned outages, we work with the energy resiliency team and the store manager to be able to prep the associates. If there is an unplanned or a planned outage, there is kind of a plan of action that needs to take place within the store. So for an unplanned outage, normally within the first hour, products like ice cream and produce are the ones to be thrown away first, since those have a lot of health regulations along with them. If it is a planned outage or an unplanned outage, we are able to cover most of our cases like you see in the picture on the right, the top right. This is having associates come out with covers, covering every open case that they can within a certain amount of time. When it comes to more of the beef, chicken, pork, all of those products, we are able to move those back to the freezers in the back room to be able to save that product and hopefully when the store opens, put them back on the shelf. Along with this, as Walmart and as we try to be more preventative instead of reactive in this case, we have been partnering with utilities across the nation to have what we call the Sam Walton mindset. So Sam Walton used to take the worst performing stores and bring them to the top. We look at the same with outages. If we know a certain store or certain site has a significant amount of outages, we really try to focus on those and partner with the utility to, make sure that vegetation is being done, or is there another line that we can come off of? Is there some sort of substation upgrade that needs to be done and things like that? And we're able to work with them through that. On the supply chain side, so half of our supply chain sites at this point are automated and half are not. For the automated ones, whether that be a perishable distribution center, so holding groceries, banana, produce, things like that, a regional distribution center, which holds all other items, diapers, Cheez-Its, TVs for the stores, or a fulfillment center, which specifically serves our e-commerce network. All of those automation in those sites, which are 3 different automation systems actually, are very sensitive to even those momentary / power blips, even those, 0.2 microsecond outages. So we have been working as a team and bringing on new people and talking with other companies and partnering with the utilities to either make sure when we're going to build these new sites that we're really, then again, proactively involving the utility to say, hey, we know that these are our needs and this is kind of what we need to do in order to prevent this in the future, because we've seen this in other sites. And on the more reactive side, Walmart Energy we have a team that specifically deals with power quality issues. And actually, so Welford in South Carolina, we've partnered with Duke to go through looking at the harmonics and the different voltage increases and decreases that could affect our automation in our site. We also are looking at using solar, battery storage, and gen yards at all of these bigger locations to be preventative in outages and make us more resilient as a company. Surrounding the supply chain sites, the biggest effect is even though we do have generators at most sites, one of the biggest problems is if there is a planned or an unplanned outage, when not only the automation system goes down, but the ticketing system or the routing system, the trucks actually have to be rerouted, mid in their route to go to a different distribution center to make sure that they can serve the stores in the surrounding area. And with that, I will pass it over to Ryan.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I should have asked you at the time too as well that you verify that it's just the two of you in the room and no one else has access to this.
Yes, sir. That is true.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you for your time this morning and allowing us to explain more about our energy efficiency past and present. So energy efficiency is part of our everyday low cost, everyday low price culture. Like Lisa mentioned, one of our largest expenses is electricity. So any way we can reduce overhead, we can pass those cost savings on to our customers and create more value for our associates. To do this, we've always been an early adopter of energy efficiency technologies. Because of our size, back in around 2011, 2012, we adopted LEDs, and we were able to drive the market for not only adoption, but also advancement. And we're really proud of that. Also, like LEDs, our leaders are committed to energy efficiency. They were committed then, and we continue to be committed to energy efficiency. It is a key tactic for us to reduce our emissions cost effectively. And in past, we have always been self-funded. We will fund energy efficiency projects that make financial sense, and we will continue to do so. I did want to brief you a little bit of some of our history in South Carolina and some of the efficiencies that we've gained at our stores and facilities. Over about the last 13 years, we've improved 125 facilities in South Carolina, and we will continue to look at that going forward. Because there are multiple projects per sites, we've had over 900 projects complete in South Carolina over the last 13 years. And those projects include lighting, HVAC, refrigeration controls, lighting being the predominant projects that we've completed over the last decade or so. We've also installed solar PV, EV chargers, both fleet and customer, as well as sub-metering equipment to monitor our energy usage so that we can manage it appropriately. Next slide, please. So I did want to talk a little bit about how we are approaching energy efficiency today. So after the installation and completion of the fleet to LEDs, our approach to energy efficiency must be data-driven. So we've got to dig deeper. We've got to have more expertise, more engineers on staff. And we've got to drive us to the most cost-effective stores and facilities where we can affect the most energy savings per store and per project. Very data intense, a combination of not only asset life, but also energy usage, weather patterns, and things of that nature. By nature, our energy efficiency, because of the size of Walmart, is programmatic. We must coordinate internally before we can finalize a site selection list. That coordination involves coordinating with our facility services team who's replacing assets and their schedule of replacing assets. It also involves coordinating with real estate to not interfere or to have their retrofit projects or special projects interfere with energy efficiency measures. After that site list is developed, then we can try to drive economies of scale. And oftentimes that is regionally to save costs. Currently, we are focused on retro-commissioning. Retro-commissioning has produced a lot of opportunity to basically tune up the building. And beyond that, it's also created new initiatives, new advanced ways of controlling things such as HVAC, refrigeration in the building as a whole. Next slide, please. I also wanted to talk a little bit about our philosophy of participating in utility incentive programs. As I mentioned, we've got to do a lot of internal coordination, stakeholder engagement in order to arrive at the correct site at the correct time. Because of that, that doesn't always lend itself to participating in a specific jurisdiction. However, utility incentives are helpful for some reasons that may not be clear. If a stakeholder engagement is complete and we can select a site and move forward with it, and there's a tie between a few facilities, likely the tie will go to a jurisdiction where we are participating in utility incentive programs. This helps us to stretch the budget to save more energy at more facilities nationwide. I did want to provide, just for sake of illustration, the fact that we are participating in energy efficiency programs across the nation. You can see the abridged list there. What I thought might be helpful today is just to kind of explain what programs are attractive to Walmart based on our participation in the last several years, particularly on the custom side of things. We are attracted to incentive rates that are typically north of 12 cents per kilowatt hour. High incentive cap rate based on project costs is also very helpful to us. The ones where we've had the most success, those programs are the incentives cap at 80% of project cost or greater. Some utilities pay the full incentive cost, the full project cost for incentives. Perhaps what might be the most key aspect of us considering participation in a program is robust program support. We have a very small, lean team that is responsible for identifying and advancing energy efficiency initiatives across the nation. And because of that, we need to expand basically our resources by utilizing implementers that have robust technical expertise. For example, we are participating in one program where an implementer is probably one of the best controls engineers that we've encountered. Our team has done control reviews, energy benchmarking, and found really good opportunity, yet the program implementer found additional opportunity that drove more savings. And because of that, we've been able to advance more projects and stretch the budget further. Another one, because we are so lean, that's really helpful to our team, are minimal admin tasks. I'll provide an example. There was one utility we participated with this year who allowed us one project application for all of our measures and allowed us an appendix to show where we would be doing these projects at, I believe it was 20 plus stores. Contrast that to another utility where they were asking us to submit an application per measure per site. And we had nearly 3 measures per site of 10 stores. So the admin burden, since we are pretty lean, can be pretty significant and can prevent us from facilitating other projects. Incentive assignment. This one, because of Walmart's breadth, sometimes when we receive incentive checks, we're not always sure where they go, or they get lost in the mail, in Walmart's mail, so to speak. So it's really helpful for us if we can assign incentives to contractors, and they remove that from the cost of the invoice to us. That concludes my part of the presentation. I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions since I know this is the focus of today.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, that concludes our presentation. So yeah, we'd like to open it up if you have any questions for any of us.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Who knew? This is your new commercial model. I love it. Any commissioner questions? Commissioner Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, panel. Thank you all for being here with us, both in person and virtually. I just want to talk about your autonomy for a second. How important, I should say, is it to Walmart to have the ability to self-fund programs related to EE and DSM as opposed to being forced to participate in programs?
Ryan, if you want to start with that one, and then I can pick up after that.
Sure, I would probably point back to the fact the programmatic nature of how we conduct our project site selection. There are many stakeholders involved where we couldn't always participate. Say in a certain city, even if the utility incentive program is good, perhaps that entire city is going through. They're revamping all of the assets on the roof or things of that nature. So, from my standpoint, the stakeholder engagement is what drives that decision for us.
I would add on to that, ultimately being an efficient business is good business. And that's been our priority since I started in Walmart in 2007. And even at that point, we were very deeply engaged on energy efficiency. And the number I like to put out there is that, when I started in 2007, we had probably 1,500 less stores, several less distribution centers. Fast forward to 2023, with those additional stores and distribution centers, we used the same amount of electricity in the U.S. that we did in 2007. A lot of that is attributable to the LED light bulb. Starting in the mid-2010s, we began a precipitous drop in the amount of power that we were using from the deployment of those interior and exterior LED light bulbs. And then one of the challenges too, now looking forward, is that we need to have the capability that Ryan's team and others in our facility services team work on to figure out how we innovate in the space. We don't know what the next LED light bulb is. What's that next technology that's going to create a lot of just incredibly large savings. And so if a utility doesn't have a really robust custom structure, it's not necessarily going to be particularly helpful, because we've done all the things that the utilities are incenting, and we have to figure out now what's next.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning. It's good to have all of you here. Kind of picking up on that question, it's inspiring to hear what you just shared, Mr. Chris, in terms of 2007 to today and energy, which makes me think about the lessons learned that you all have and how you might share them with others, inspire others, and how proprietary data, and I think what I'm really trying to ask is the overall impact. How can that data be shared, and is it shared in other states? So take that question however you'd like.
Ryan, I'm going to kick that one to you again.
Sure. I think within other states we've shared more broadly. I know we do, given the cost of energy increasing, we do view reducing our overheads as a competitive advantage. So we're very careful on the specific innovations that we are pursuing.
Mm-hmm. But the overall data, as opposed to the content of what you're doing, or the individual programs and the impact, is that information shared in other states?
We've shared it with our utility partners, Steve. I'm not sure if we've shared it within other states.
Okay. And I think this question's for you, Mr. Parrish. You were talking about retro commissioning, RCX, and in my mind, I thought about building performance measures. And did my mind go to the right place? Would you describe retro commissioning?
Sure, absolutely. Be happy to. Thank you. So retro commissioning is the process. The process we take is energy benchmarking. We do have some proprietary ways that we do that to arrive at the. Sorry, I'm getting another message here. To arrive at a facility that is the most has the most potential for energy efficiency. From there, we're typically conducting on-site energy audits or remote audits to see if the building is still operating as it was intended to do. And that is a pretty broad task that we try to narrow it down on the biggest opportunities, which typically are around HVAC and refrigeration. To give an example, if your refrigeration coils are dirty, we need to go ahead and clean those coils, and then we need to adjust the system to the optimal set point now that it's running more efficiently. That's just one minor example of the breadth. The very wide program that we're engaged in. But yes, your mind is going to the correct place. It's all about building performance. So it's essentially a building tune-up is the way we like to say it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it does involve equipment replacement and capital investment. But we typically start with the repairs that are needed, adjustments, and then we go from there.
Thank you. Ms. Rice-Gavage, how'd I do with your last name?
Actually, that was perfect.
Great.
Switching. That was perfect, though.
Good. That may be the last time that's said today. you talked about, I think, 0.2 millisecond in terms of interruption to equipment, and I don't want to know a lot, but just a little bit to understand the impact to the equipment. Why
Right.
is that minute impactful to the equipment? And I think you said it was most impactful at the fulfillment centers.
Correct. Fulfillment centers, our regional distribution centers, and our perishable, anything that has automation. So even though that is a super small amount of time, it messes with the messaging system of our automation. So just the communication systems itself.
And is that expensive to fix? Is it the time lost that's the bigger issue?
It's the time loss. Yes, ma'am.
And how efficient are generators?
Overall, well, it also depends on, I guess, specifically what they're needed for. We are currently looking at solutions that kind of, because generators obviously take time to switch over when the building does go off. So currently we're looking at a lot of solutions to fill that gap. In our distribution centers that do not have any automation at the moment, they're very effective there.
Okay. And if the utility you're operating in is in a circumstance where there's a challenge to provide enough energy and there's a request out for shedding load, is that something Walmart has experience with?
I can let Steve talk to this more.
So that is something we have experience with. Historically, we've been very active in demand response, whether through programmatic efforts by the utility where there's a specific program in place with terms and conditions and requirements, but we've also been very experienced with emergency responses. In the last year or two, we've had some direction from our operations to not create negative impacts on the customer or associate experience within the store. So we've had to modify how we look at it. If the stores have generators on them, certainly we will run those any way we can to help ensure that power stays on and the grid is stable. But we have a little bit less flexibility to change operations within the building.
Thank you very much again. Appreciate your being here.
So,
No further questions from me.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. I think, Mr. Chris, you said you're looking for the next big LED type technology, I think. And I tend to oversimplify things, let me say that. But, Walmart store, I guess, like a big house, you have lights, HVAC, refrigeration, and I guess you heat water for something. I don't know what type thing you use, but thinking about that, you mentioned the LED lights was the biggest improvement as far as energy efficiency or reducing electrical demands. With the things that I think are in Walmart stores, refrigeration, HVAC, heating, cooling, is part of your energy efficiency, or I think maybe retro commissioning is determining what's out there. Is it more energy efficient now than it was in 2007 and such? Is that what you're saying?
So Ryan is the technical expert, so I'm going to kick that one to him.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good.
I was just looking at you because you're the only one in here right now. Do I need to
Ryan, you're muted.
You're muted.
We're switching
I was
mics.
switching my update was happening. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
And I see your wall well too.
That's our beautiful new campus in Bentonville.
Yes. So I'll answer this quickly here. Where am I? Yes, that's part of it. Retro commissioning in our mind is a cost-effective way to get quicker solutions, as well as to build the pipeline for innovations for next year and the year after. Through this, we have discovered some innovative ways to control the building, and particularly our refrigeration assets, more efficiently. It does take internal self-funding to re-engineer some of the equipment, as well as to prove out not only the equipment but the savings, in situ. So you're absolutely correct. Retro commissioning is a part of identifying what is the next big LED, so to speak.
Thank you, and apologize for making that more complicated than it needed to be.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Any further commissioner questions? Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you. I have one question, and you may have already answered it, but if you did, I missed it. Looking at slide number 7, and there are 2 photos. The one at the bottom, can you describe what that is a little bit for me?
Are you referring to the power harmonics?
I'm not sure what it is.
Okay. So, in terms of what's on this described on the slide, so harmonics, as we add automation to our facilities, we're adding a lot of motors, variable frequency drives, things that while they consume power can also change. And again, Ryan is going to be the technical expert on all things power. So if I go way off script, he's going to jump in and correct my engineering misunderstandings. But essentially, through the use of our own equipment, we can impact power quality, both at our facility as well as what goes back out onto the grid. There are engineering standards by which the utility can, if it gets too bad, they can actually shut off our service. And so what we're working on with the utilities and with our internal teams is what controls need to be installed on all this new equipment to ensure that we're not impacting the frequency or the quality of the power on the grid with our own equipment, which also should in turn help reduce some of the micro impacts that we're seeing that actually have pretty significant impacts to Commissioner Williams' question earlier. And just to add on to that answer a little bit, because I know there's lots of exciting detail when we do get to tour the Perishable Distribution Center in Welford. We'll hear a lot about it. But excuse me, a brief momentary outage can actually create a business interruption for up to 12 hours. I think that's the longest one I've heard so far. To what Ms. Riskavage said earlier, it creates a messaging problem within the system, but also particularly with some of the technologies that we use, there are robot carts that go out and collect product, move it around, get it sorted for pallets. They lose their way pretty easily when the power goes out. And so we'll actually have to have associates go in, wrangle these robots back, basically do a big system reset, which is a 3 to 4 hour operation. And so the generators come on too late to solve it, and so we have to look at a lot of different power engineering equipment. And that goes beyond my knowledge of power engineering. And Ryan, I'll kick it to you in a second. But what we're working to is building that ride-through capability so that we don't even experience those momentary outages. And then Ryan, if you want to fill in with what that equipment is.
Yeah, I know. I think you hit it on the head. A lot of it goes beyond my expertise as well. But we are looking at things like dynamic voltage regulation, advanced harmonic filters, battery storage, things of that nature. But yes, a momentary flicker can cause communication issues, as Claire mentioned, with our robotic cell. That's really the bulk of what we experience for cost of downtime. And just to kind of remind or reset here, our perishable distribution centers serve many stores. So it does affect customers getting product that they want or need on time when we have momentary flickers or even power quality harmonic issues.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. And I think I was a little confused about what we call harmonic improvements. I guess battery storage and other things could help that a lot. Filters, however you do it to contain or have the proper frequency. Is that what harmonic improvements mean?
That's part of it. Part of it is, there are harmonic interferences, just so to speak, with some of our automated equipment, right? So we're producing harmonics as well inside the facility. So it's a combination of upstream and downstream improvements that we need to look at.
All right. Thank you very much. I grew up in a small town at a mom and pop grocery, and whenever there was like a storm and power's out, it was a butcher shop, really. It was a disaster for us. I mean, we lose lots and lots of stuff, give away lots and lots of stuff. So I guess when Walmart decided to get into grocery business, that made a real change in being able to monitor and control these sort of things. And it just brought all that back, and some of those good memories and some of it's bad memories, being in that situation. I like the idea that you mentioned consumer education and encourage you to continue to do that. I consider consumer education a form of demand side management, because the more people know and they understand your goals and see your enthusiasm and efforts and successes, I think other businesses and consumers can benefit from that. Is there anything further from any other commissioners? Anything,
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Britt, Commissioner Britt.
I have a couple quick questions, if you might.
Sure.
First of all, I thought this was an excellent presentation, and it brought me up to speed on some things I didn't know. I just want to say, before I ask a couple of questions, and make a comment that Walmart is a tremendous asset to all South Carolina residents, as evidenced by the number of stores you have in this state, 122 and $2.9 billion purchased from state suppliers. That's very impressive. Question I have, one of the first questions, when did Walmart open its first store in South Carolina?
Walmart trivia time.
All right. Maybe y'all don't have that answer. Second question, what's the total investment that y'all have made in South Carolina since that first store to your latest store or your latest venture, much like probably the Welford facility? Any idea?
So, I mean, if I had to, and this is a total swag, I mean, it's probably got to be 3 to 5 billion between, Welford is a high 9-figure at least facility. We have the facility down outside Charleston that we opened a few years ago, the distribution facility down there, which I'm sure was in that neighborhood, plus 122 stores at what it costs to build a store. Yeah, my big round number is 3 to 5.
Yeah, all right. I like to round up, Steve, so I go 5.
We'll go 5. Okay.
I was thinking it was somewhere in that range. Number of employees in South Carolina, employed by Walmart. Any idea how many?
Over 37,000. That's
okay. Yeah, I think, and I missed that in your presentation. Well, And the point I was making, they were trying to get some of these questions. Y'all are a major player when it comes to power, with 122 stores and the other facilities, y'all have a definite need there. And I have seen firsthand in my former life just the impact that you've made in the upstate, particularly with the welfare facility. And what you folks did last year, right after Helene, with the 45 truckloads. I remember dealing with Brooke Mueller, one of your superstars, I think, within Walmart, sending 45 truckloads of very needed water and foods to not only Western North Carolina, but to upstate South Carolina. Saw that firsthand. But my last question, is there any particular area in South Carolina that you have the greatest challenge for power needs that we need to focus on?
I mean, I think we've been fortunate to date that as we've worked on the different projects that we haven't had any delays on power access or, getting the capacity that we need for a facility. We work closely with, we talk to Duke fairly constantly, Dominion as well. One of the things that they have are national key accounts programs. So we have a dedicated representative that we go to and have multiple conversations a week with about our business, both in South Carolina and other territories that they cover. So we have really good conversation there. South Carolina has a really strong cooperative association and really great engagement from its members. So we have, and I don't know as much about the municipal utilities, but in terms of the connections and the engagement and the responsiveness, the state has really good utilities in place, from an operational perspective. We come here and fight about regulatory stuff all the time, but on a day-to-day basis, for normal operations, for emergency operations, we've got the right relationships. They're effective relationships. And so this is a great place to do business, and the utilities, help to help to make that possible.
All right. Thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Brett. Commissioner Belser.
Mr. Chris, I appreciate your answer. I don't view it as a Walmart coming in and fighting about regulatory things. I view it as parties coming together and presenting their positions, but I don't think we view that as a fight. So it's very genteel, I suppose. Although we do have some arguments sometimes, but
Yeah,
it's not a fight. It's a process, and I appreciate all the parties, Walmart included, for participating in it and educating us on a lot of these issues.
Yeah, we're happy to, and we certainly appreciate the process here. We do this around the United States, and yes, to your point about South Carolina being genteel and polite, we've always found the process here to be that. So, and we very much appreciate that.
And I'd have to agree with Commissioner Belser. When I was an attorney, people would come in, particularly in domestic situations, and say they want somebody going to fight for them. And I'd say, well, this lawyer across the street might do that. That's not why I'm here. Anyway, thank you very much. Is Mr. Mustian, anything from you?
Nothing, no, sir.
Thank you. Anything else from the presenters? Ms. Perry, anything? Okay. Well, we do appreciate you being here. We appreciate the virtual information and the information given to us. And thank you very much. Hope you have a very prosperous Thanksgiving. I'm sure the lines are forming already. We are adjourned.
All right. Thank you very much.